What's up, Internet? My name is Rick, and one of my big goals for this year was competing in a game jam. If you're unfamiliar, a game jam is a video game creation competition in which you're given a time limit and asked to create a game following a specific theme. I've always enjoyed watching videos of people talking about their experiences with game jams. These videos have always inspired me to increase my programming skills, as I thought maybe one day I'd be able to compete in one of these competitions and showcase how good I am at programming, and that really it isn't that stressful to operate in such a short time limit. But obviously that's not true. I'm happy to say that I finally competed in a game jam, but man, I've learned a lot. The jam I participated in was held by my university's Game Developers Club. It would last 1 week, and it featured the theme of breakdown/breakout. And so when I first saw breakdown breakout, I thought it'd be really funny to just do a game surrounding a rage room. You know those places where you pay to break things and let out your anger and just break everything in a room? I thought it'd be really fun to just do a game like that, where you spend your time breaking objects in a room. Going a little bit further into that, when I got home on Friday to look at the project and start, I saw that the formal definition on Google for breakdown was a failure of a system, which made me think it would be really funny if you were in a rage room and you broke everything, but you weren't satisfied and you just kept going and started breaking everything, like the offices that the rage room had, and then eventually out into the city. This core idea stuck, and it was a lot of fun, and I ended up making a game that I thought was really fun based off this idea. And so I pitched the idea to our game developer Discord, and I recruited 2 members, one, the president of the club, Tony, to help with the pixel art assets, and Heath, one of our club members, to help me with music. And so with that, the team was formed and day 1 started. Over the first couple days, I already had plans to spend time with family and friends, and so I couldn't really sit down and do real deep work until that next Monday. But on Friday, the first thing I did was try to get movement done. Now, despite doing top-down 2D projects several times across the many years I've tried to learn game development, I still forgot how to do movement. So I went to my old project, Undead Ambush, and tried to copy my own code to do get access raw movement with rigid body velocities to move the player around. And so after taking way too long to do that, I got the player moving on the screen with very simple temp art using a couple colored squares and WSD keys. After finishing the movement mechanics, I moved on to making a script that would be the interface for all breakable objects in the game. I thought if I made very good code at the start, I could just put it on everything and just save a lot of time when making breakable objects. So I created a box that once you interacted with it 3 times, would destroy itself and remove it from the scene. Later, I would go on to making little pieces of sprites to split apart and go all over the screen based on spawning a collection of shards once an object was broken to give the illusion that you were shattering it. And so this ended up looking pretty good from the start, and I had a lot of fun working to get this shattering mechanic and applying velocities into every piece. After getting the simple systems for breaking objects into the game, I thought it'd be really funny to have objects be throwable. So you could pick up the smaller object and toss them at the other ones to do damage and shatter the objects you threw. I thought it'd be an easy way to speed up the process of breaking things, because obviously if you throw something, it's probably going to break a lot easier than it will be if you just kind of hit it. And so I thought it'd be really fun to have objects be able to damage each other once you threw them. And so I worked for a while trying to get that to work. And it took a little bit of tweaking to make the throwing look right and to not have it collide with the player itself. And so I spent a little bit of time tweaking that, but when I finally got it to work, it looked pretty good. Okay, I'm here at the end of Jam Day 1 officially, and what I've got currently is some of the real basic systems needed for the game to kind of serve its purpose, which is breaking things and throwing objects at each other. So as you can see, objects kind of fall apart. You throw them at each other, and certain objects like this brown one take multiple hits to fully break apart. And so that's really neat. You can throw objects at other throwable objects and they'll bounce off, and you can pick up the ones that aren't fully dead and continue to throw them. So it's pretty neat. Pretty happy with what I got so far, but yeah, continue working on it over the next couple days as well. Let's go. Okay, so what I'm going to work on today, now that I'm sitting down, is I'm going to start working on the melee combat. So trying to get a bat swing in, kind of get the player to look towards the direction it's swinging, or I haven't decided whether or not I want to do arrow key attacks, kind of like how Binding of Isaac's melee attacks work, or if I'm gonna do it like your mouse cursor, you just swing in the direction. Either way, we'll see. I wasn't able to spend too much time working on the project on Saturday because I had plans with my parents to go get food early in the morning that basically prevented me from working on the project until about 10:30 a.m. And I had commitments to go out to eat dinner with a friend of mine later in the day. And so the time I spent working on the project was somewhat limited. And unfortunately, the time I spent wasn't even that great. I ended up trying to follow a tutorial by Sunny Valley Studios to have a weapon revolve around the player, but I ended up implementing it kind of poorly, and it just didn't look like it would work for what I wanted for the project, and trying to get it to work with animations just did not look good. So unfortunately, most of the project progress I ended up making on day 2 ended up getting scrapped by the time day 3 came around. The one nice thing that came out of day 2's progress was I made a little hit flash effect that basically showed the objects being damaged anytime you hit them. So not all was lost. I'm here on, I think, day 2, and what I have so far, I didn't work on the project too much yesterday, but I have this like bat swing that I've been trying to work on. It's kind of jank, and it doesn't like look too great currently, but like, wait, hold on, so what I want to do. So you can like swing the bat. I feel like it's a little too big, so I'll probably just like break down the size a little bit. But it's supposed to swing back and forth. I only have it working on like the right side currently, but I mean it works kinda, but it could look a lot smoother. So what I'm trying to get is to try to make it like not just, I don't know how to explain it. Like if it swings, it should just like swing back from the same position, but in a different like angle. So that's kind of what I'm gonna try and fix in the like next couple bits. But yeah, let's get to work. On day 3, I spent the first hour and a half working on the project trying to fix that bat swing. I tried to follow the example that the Forgotten uses in the Binding of Isaac. In the game, he swings up, down, left, and right. Very simple. And the animations for it are pretty easy and pretty easy to copy. And so, following that example, I made a 4-direction attack swing that was based off where you were facing. If you're faced up and press space, you would hit and swing your bat. And so, with a small smear animation and a simple rotation of the bat itself, a nice little attack animation was made. After I finished polishing the attack off, I thought it'd be fun to have the objects move slightly when you walked into them. I didn't want all the objects to be static, and I thought it'd be more fun if objects you threw kind of pushed things back that they touched. So like if you threw a box at something, it would move the other box back before breaking. And so I spent some time giving linear drag values and updating the physics for each of the objects I was making. And so in doing so, I realized I needed to like fade out the shards that were breaking apart from these objects as they were making the game really, really slow. And so here's a video of me after I finished like adding these physics values to the objects and fading out the shards. Okay, I'm back. I got some progress to show based on like smacking around objects, having them like fall apart, and then like being able to push things but not like fully destroy them. So like you can move boxes around, you can still pick them up, throw them at each other, and now they kind of like move with each other. But when you fall apart, that's still too much. But as you can see, the pieces fade out. But you can pick up items, you can throw them at each other. That one was moving a little too slow to do anything. But as you can see, like they fall apart, and it's pretty smooth too. It's like they can collide with the player at first, but they'll like ricochet, and then eventually you won't like you can walk over them after a certain point. But I think it looks pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with it so far. Okay, what I'm gonna do now is try to make throwable and like breakable items that explode when they break, so that they like kind of affect everything around them. So as you just heard, I spent the first parts of day 4 working on explosions, a totally necessary mechanic for my game, especially considering it's about breaking stuff, and explosions are cool. But before I could get into the weeds of implementing those features, I got a text from Tony letting me know that she had finished the first couple sprites for me to put in the game. Okay, so Tony's got some new art in, and so this is kind of the tiles and the little walking guy. I haven't put in the animation yet, but I did do a little bit of work. This red box is supposed to be an exploding box. I'm trying to get it to work to like blow up the things in the surrounding area. It currently only like seems to have the ability to do the like things directly next to it. But I'm not sure if I need to fix that. But he looks pretty good just walking around. Look at my little guy. Rocking with him. But yeah. Okay, enough of that. Obviously, the exploding objects weren't really necessary to the design of the game, but I figured it'd be a good way to give players a satisfying way to break a ton of objects in a small area in a short amount of time. And it also just looked really cool, especially by the time I was done with it. Okay, I'm back with some more progress. I just created objects that explode and like affect the things around them. So when you hit them a certain amount of times, once they start going into their breaking phase, they actually they have to blink a couple times and then it explodes. And if you have more surrounding it, it sets off a chain reaction and explodes other things too. So it's pretty cool. Really simple to program too. It wasn't actually that complicated. And also we have a little player character now, who I'll probably have to adjust the bat sprites for, but it looks pretty good so far. I mean, like all the visuals for like the explosions and stuff look really fun. And I have a feeling once like the environments get designed and once we like put in and set up like scenes, it's gonna be so much fun. So yeah, feeling good. What I'm working on right now is making walls that like won't take like baby damage, but once you get to a certain amount of strength, you can like start exploding things. And like I guess if your player gets strong enough, you can start breaking down walls too. So the idea is like each wall will have like a certain amount of damage you need to do to be able to even hit it. And so like the player themselves, like at the start, won't be able to just like break down any walls that they want. But as they like kind of go on and get like stronger, I guess, you'll like be able to break down like this wall exactly. This brown piece right here would be a wall. See, I can't move through it, can't damage it. I think this is a glitch. Ooh. So like an explosion would do it. Like it would clear the gate. The gate kind of looks like it's very simple. It's basically the hit script from the breakable object, just with a little classifier on it that makes use of the damage gate. Once I finished that little wall script, I got another message from Tony letting me know that she had finished some pieces for a room, like a bookshelf, a chair, and a table. And so the clip you're currently watching is me breaking up these sprites into little pieces so that they can chatter. And something you may not notice is this clip is like 30 minutes long. I kind of underestimated how long it would take to do this, and it ended up costing me a lot of time throughout the entire game jam process. But I mean, hey, it looked pretty good when it's all said and done with the shards. So here's a little video of that. Okay, hello, I'm back. As you can see, there's a lot of new like art and little objects in the scene. The scene moves a bit weird with the pixels because of the camera, but I'll fix that later. But Tony has sent me over some new art, and I think what a great way to appreciate it by destroying it. It is so satisfying to just like obliterate everything and the hard work that she has done just to make a point to show my progress. So I'm having a lot of fun. Setting up the little like broken pieces to get their colliders right is kind of annoying, but it's like, oh man, is it satisfying to just like pick up objects and like completely destroy the scene with them? Like, I don't know, nothing gets better than that. I'm having a lot of fun, as you can probably tell. Okay, so I'm back. Here's a little like cohesive scene. We got some things set up and everything. I had the fun idea that if you like start the game in like a confined room, you know, and you're so angry, you gotta like break out of the room, right? But let's say the door is locked, right? I thought it'd be fun is if when you first break out of the room, like it completely opens up like where you can move the camera to. So like if you walk around, you destroy stuff. You can't move the camera very much. You can't see anything else in the world. Okay, well, I'm just gonna break this. It's gonna break out the corner and then bang. Now your camera's open up. You can leave the room. You know, it's once you have the ability to like break through walls, it'll like snap your camera like bounds to something else, and you can go walk around and do things, which I think is really fun. That's what I got so far. This is the end of today's Monday night, so day 4, technically, I guess, or 3. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, technically 4, but it's Friday to Friday, so I think I got some pretty good progress for where we are now. I think just need to add like a score, and then maybe like a couple levels. I don't know if I want to do levels. I think one big cohesive scene would be fun. And maybe if I do levels, we'll just have to make like different scenes and stuff to make it make more sense. But yeah, that's what I got. Unfortunately, I seem to have lost most of my footage for day 5, which is Tuesday. But I do know what I worked on. I primarily spent time adding screen shake, doing some extra little texture changes, and changing the resolution of the game, trying to make things fit differently in the screen. And so I spent a lot of time just kind of doing behind the scenes tweaking things rather than any major new features. Okay, how's it going, folks? I'm back. A couple updates. I finally figured out what was wrong with the like X sorting axis when it came to my camera. So now the box is like 7 pixels or like 7 slots by 7 slots. But now it looks pretty cohesive. The camera doesn't move slightly like it's supposed to when there's nowhere to go instead of like walking left and right. Plus, I added some wall textures. They don't really fit the environment, but they kind of give an overall like idea of what it's supposed to look like. So I added little dialogue boxes so that when certain things happen, you can like get power-ups and stuff, and depending on the context. So this last thing is the only thing left in the room. So if I break it, I can now break the walls. So that gives me the ability to go ahead and like smack out of the walls, and he goes, "Oh my god, he broke out of the walls, no way." So the idea is like, if you can get through everything, like the farther you get, you'll get like little dialogues based on how many things or what like point values you've accrued, and that'll help you like get to different progress points. So like if the level needs you to break out of a certain area first, you're not going to be able to have the strength to break out of it until a certain point. And then after a while, if you take too long, you'll like run out of time and your character will like start crying, basically signifying that you didn't finish the level. If I just make it objects that you need to break for the level rather than obliterating everything, you'll see that you could just go through, break everything one by one. You can still throw things. Also, I added Y sorting to the throwing so that it always shows above the player's head. So that's another change. You also move slower if you pick up certain items. I don't know if I have any items that have different lengths in the scene, but as you'll see once I finish that last one, because I wasn't counting the walls as objects, just clearing the room like gets you the like U1 screen. But yeah, that's pretty much the progress I have. The audio and like music stuff will come soon. That's probably what I'm going to work on. I have another like 2 days, or like probably like 2 days worth of time. So I think I could pull together some levels, focus on art on the last couple ones, and then have a nice little project by the end at the due date time on Friday at 5 p.m. So that's how we're looking. Okay, I'm here at the start of Thursday. Today is going to be like one of the big push days to get a lot of stuff done. So as you might see, I got some UI stuff done up here. This is for like how much time you have left, and this is for like the points you have. I hope the music isn't too loud specifically for the recording. It sounds fine in here, but hopefully you guys can still hear me over this. Sound effects for some things now. Each hit has something. When you throw certain objects, I want to have a certain sound. And then the little dialogue messages look really nice, in my opinion. It took a while to get that right, but they sound pretty good. And the upgrades work alongside how you get the dialogue. You'll speed up and get everything moving accordingly. But yeah, it's looking good so far. I still have a lot to do, but I think I can get a good amount of levels built tomorrow morning, and then like just really focus on getting like polished stuff done today if I can. Get some more art in there. I want to try to make like, I want to do 10 levels if I can. Maybe like 3 in 3 different areas, and then 1 in one like big open world, like you can walk around type of thing. So we'll see. Let me get to work, and hopefully it turns out well. So as you might guess, day 6 was like the last day before I really needed to start pushing to make the game finish. And so I spent a lot of the time finishing up some polishing things like UI, making the dialogue boxes update the player's stats, and just kind of getting some like general polish off before the game was finished and before I went in and started making levels. And so what you're seeing right now is me going through and updating like the sprites for the dialogue boxes and making the player like able to break the walls after the dialogue boxes pop up and make his stats change. Okay, hello. It's taking me a while, but I'm finally working on the UI and stuff. This is kind of like the last stretch of the things I need to do before I start like making more objects and levels, just to like make sure we can get a couple things done. But this is what I have so far. We're gonna get there. I know it's rough. The canvas scripts are giving me hell. The text took me a while to figure out how to like make look not terrible. Like it's still blurry here, but in game it looks significantly better. So it took me a while to figure out how to do that, but I think I got it. So cue the montage. In this recording, I'm going through and adding like variable UI. So when the player finishes the game, I kind of wanted to like show them what they did and like keep track of the things they broke, kind of tell them at the end of the game, hey, you got this far, or congratulations, you finished the level. Basically, when the UI is shown at the end, it should kind of reflect how well the player did on the level and if they either need to keep going or they need to restart the level or something like that. And so I spent a lot of time making sure that was nice and looked good too. After making those changes, I realized I kind of needed to start working on like the title screen so that you can transition between levels, see basic information about the game, as it was one of the requirements we needed for the jam to make sure people got the credit they deserved. And so I started working on a quick title screen, and here's a little bit of a demo of that. It's not that complicated. It's got a couple text, some buttons, and a quit button. But the thing is I did get the builds working so that the game actually played in the resolution it was supposed to, and it actually looked pretty good on the first time I ran it. So while the starting focus of day 6 was to work on UI and do little polish things, I also spent the entire day making the objects for the player to break, because Tony had sent me over a ton of art throughout the day. And so a lot of day 6 was spent just kind of making the sprites, breaking them up, making sure they looked good when shattered. And so here's a massive montage of me working for several hours trying to put these objects in the game and make them look pretty good when they were destroyed, before I got to actually building the levels out. Okay, the time is 1:02 a.m. and I'm currently still importing assets. Tony did a wonderful job making like the rest of the things I think we'll use for the game, and this fruit stand right here took the longest for me to like put in. So I bet you can't guess how many pieces it breaks into. It's like 20, because it wouldn't look right if they were too big, but I'm actually surprised that didn't just crash the game right now, because it's so many little pieces that have to do physics calculations. So very happy that didn't just break the game at all. But I'm almost there. Almost finished. I'm going to start making levels soon, I promise. With that mess of items finally imported to the game and broken up, I started working on actually designing a level. So I figured the game would need a tutorial because, it's pretty straightforward, but every game needs a tutorial for a game jam so that people can pick it up and play it really easily. And so I spent the last couple hours of day 6 working on the tutorial, and here's the progress of that. It's pretty simple. The game basically teaches you what the controls are, how to throw items, how to knock things around, and it's pretty simple. But I think it gets the point across, and every good game needs a tutorial. So that's what this is. After all my hard work on day 6, I spent the entire day on day 7 building levels for the game. Now, as I said previously, I wanted to have about 10, but I was running out of time, and I definitely needed to just make something quickly so I could submit a game that had playable levels rather than just a tutorial and some demo scenes where you could break stuff. And so I spent a good amount of time, some upwards of like 7 hours, all the time I had spent on day 7 building out the levels. You'll see the main rage room level, the outdoor level, and then I also built a restaurant level. And so all in all, that took me right up until the submission time window. And so by the time I had the levels finished, it was about 10 minutes away from the submission window, and I needed to quickly build an itch.io page and put a submission of the game up. And so Unity actually takes a surprising amount of time to build a game. And as a result, I cut it a lot closer than I expected to, and I couldn't get out a web playable version of the game in time, but that was okay. The EXE did just enough that it needed to, and so people were able to play the game. It was complete. I had gotten something turned in by the submission deadline, and I officially completed my first game jam. So if you've made it this far in the video, you're probably at least a little bit invested about the outcome of the project. As you may remember, game jams are in fact competitions where people place to be the overall winner of the jam. And so we had 5 submissions at the end of the jam submission period, with 5 pretty solid games that each had a chance at winning it. And so we had all of our community members play the games, or we at least try to get plenty of people to do it, to get a public vote on which game did in fact win. And so based on all the categories, gameplay, complexity, creativity and connection to the theme, design and art, we determined our winners. And so of the 5 games we submitted, my game, Breaking Down, actually placed second with number 1 ranks in creativity and connection to the theme and design and art. Those 2 specifically I'm very proud of, considering I was very happy with the game idea that I came out and how I ended up executing it, as well as getting design and art was really meaningful because Tony put a lot of time on day 6 to put together a lot of assets for the game. So it was really nice to see that folks enjoyed the game and thought the art was really nice. And so I'm very proud of this first game jam experience. While I didn't win, I got pretty close. If you look at those scores on the screen right now, one more vote may have decided it differently, but I'm not bitter about it. I had a lot of fun. The game jam was a really fun experience, something I'd never done before. And so I learned a lot about what it means to work quickly and to make a game and have a fun idea. And so it was a really great opportunity to kind of put myself back into the sphere of like making games quickly and being passionate about a project. And so I'm really glad I spent my spring break doing this game jam. And so I just wanted to thank you so much for watching this video, taking the time to hear about my experience. And if this is something that interests you, I would encourage you to subscribe. I may not post videos too often, but if I do end up making another one, you'll be the first one to find out. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.